Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nandara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 26, Fundamental Principles of Material Nature, Text number 6. Evam parabhidhyanena
Kartitvam prakrite puman
Karmasu kriyamaneshu Gunayer atmani manyate Evam parabhidhyanena Kratritvam prakrite puman Karmashu kriyamaneshu Gunayer atmani manyate Evam parabhidhyanena Kratritvam prakrite puman Karmashu kriyamaneshu Gunayer atmani manyate
Evam parabhidhanena
Evam parabhidhyanena
Kratritvam prakrite puman
Kratritvam prakrite puman
Karmashu kriyamaneshu
Karmashu kriyamaneshu
Gunayer atmani manyate
Gunayer atmani manyate. Ladies. Evam parabhidhanena Kratritvam prakrite puman Karmasu kriyamaneshu Gunayer atmani manyate. Evam. In this way. Para. Other. Abhidhyanena. By identification. Kartritvam. The performance of activities. Prakrite. Of the material nature. Puman. The living entity. Karmasu kriyamaneshu. While the activities are being performed. Gunai. By the three modes. Atmani. To himself. Manyate. He considers. Because of his forgetfulness, what's that thing stuck on the altar there? Just left-hand side of Jagannath's altar on the column. What's that? Been there since the weekend, by the look of it. What's that? Yeah. Please take it off. It's messy. Thank you. Because of his forgetfulness, hang on. Yeah, that's right. Because of his forgetfulness, and thus actuated, he wrongly applies the activities to himself. Okay. Purport. The forgetful living entity can be compared to a man who is under the influence of disease and has become mad, or to a man haunted by ghosts who acts without control and yet he thinks himself to be in control. Under the influence of material nature, the conditioned soul becomes absorbed in material consciousness. In this consciousness, whatever is done under the influence of the material energy is accepted by the conditioned soul as self-actuated. Actually, the soul, in his pure state of existence, should be in Krishna consciousness. When a person is not acting in Krishna consciousness, he is understood to be acting in material consciousness. Consciousness cannot be killed, for the symptom of the living entity is consciousness. The material consciousness simply has to be purified. One becomes liberated by accepting Krishna, or the Supreme Lord, as Master, and by changing the mode of consciousness from material consciousness to Krishna consciousness. Om Gana Jaminirandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshurmitram Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishnam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayambhuvakada Mukam Karoti Vatsalam Nam Hayati Giri Yatkripatamam Bande Sri Gurum Dinakarinam. What is that verse? Prakriti kriyamana ni gunai savasikarmana. What's the next line? Third line? Ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Kartaham, I am the doer. I am doing. Iti manyate. He thinks, thus he thinks. Vimudha, foolish. So Prabhupada gives an interesting example here of a madman. One symptom of madness is that one thinks oneself something that they're not. He thinks he's Napoleon or something. Thinks he's... Actually, most of us are mad by this definition, because we're all thinking we're something better than we really are. The cheating propensity. Illusory, we're in illusion, thinking that we're something better than we are, and we're also cheating ourselves. So, this is a state of ignorance, avidya. And the purpose of human existence is to come out of ignorance and come into the light of knowledge. Tamasima jyotir gama. Come out of darkness and into the ignorance. And so, lifetime after lifetime, we are thinking, I'm an Indian, I'm an Australian, I'm an Englishman, I'm an American, or I'm a dog, I'm a cat. We identify with the gross material body, with the external energy, whereas our real identity is internal. And that internal energy or internal potency is the spiritual identity, the spiritual person that we really are. But by this false concept, kartaham, I'm the doer, or the body's the doer, and that I'm the body, this is a state of ignorance. And it has to be, or can be, rectified by a change, was it a change of heart? Change of heart or change of consciousness. Because, and that consciousness is pretty much exhibited in the enjoying propensity that we find in the living entities, wherein they think that they're the doer and the enjoyer and the controller, and this is basically illusion. Not that we can't enjoy, and not that we're not enjoyers, certainly we are. Anandamaya Abhyasat. We are pleasure seekers, just like Krishna is a pleasure seeker. We're part and parcel of Krishna. Mamma evamsa jiva loke, jiva bhutta sanatana. We're part and parcel of Krishna, an angsa, we're a small portion of Krishna. And so therefore it's natural for us to have the enjoying propensity. That can't be taken away from us. That's a part of our intrinsic nature. But the problem is that under the influence of the material energy, and as a consequence of our trying to be independent from Krishna, we have this enjoying propensity that is ultimately being focused in the wrong way. Or and that's mentioned here at the end of the previous purport. We're under illusion when we think that we can enjoy in the material world. Some enjoyment maybe, but it is very temporary, flickering and temporary. And generally, dukkha dosha anudarshanam, right? Jamma mrityu tiravya dukkha dosha anudarshanam. If we think that we can loiter in the material world and enjoy here, then it's really foolish. We're going to be disappointed. Because sooner or later, birth, death, old age and disease will come along and destroy all the fun that we're having. Huh? So, this is a state of forgetfulness. Ignore the realities of material existence. I think that we can enjoy here. It's foolish. And to think that we're in control, that's all, well, we're given a little bit of control. Krishna is an Ishvara, we're also an Ishvara, and we want to control. But ultimately that control invested in us is coming from him. And we can never hope to control or manipulate the material energy to the degree that we would like to, or to the degree that Krishna can. We're a pale imitation of the real thing. And so therefore the consciousness has to be changed into accepting the fact that whilst yes we have some control and we have that enjoying spirit, the appropriate way to exercise that free will and that enjoying spirit is to use it in the service to Krishna. We're servants. It is natural for us to serve. But unfortunately, in this state of avidya, we serve the false ego, we're serving then the mind, because we're identifying with the body, we're serving the mind and the senses, which are usually all over the place anyway, uncontrolled. But the real method of control, the real method of the appropriate engagement of that serving propensity is to engage our mind and senses in serving Krishna, and also being aware of the frailty of material existence and of the limited, very limited enjoyment that we get from this state of existence in material consciousness. So, rather than act like a crazy man who thinks himself, or somebody who's haunted by ghosts, one has to reawaken this mood or the mentality of servitorship in a positive way. Prabhupada says here, the material consciousness simply has to be purified. One becomes liberated by accepting Krishna as the Supreme Lord, as Master. We're not the Master, we're the servant. To a degree we're masters. A little bit. In that we make the decision to either surrender or to try and be independent. That's the decision that we have. And the sooner we come to the realization that we need to act in cooperation with Krishna and accept the fact that material existence is always going to be fraught with problems. And the real solution to the problems is to re-engage in our original devotional consciousness, which is reawakened by the process of sadhana bhakti. And this change of consciousness is required, absolutely required. We have to see Krishna as the Lord, as Master, we're the servants. And we, by making the choice to render service to Krishna, that's how we control the mind and the senses. Give them, well, two ways actually. Mind is going to push us. The senses are going to push us. So we have to tolerate that pushing. And then the appropriate and proper way for a practical solution is, because the senses and the mind must act, just like Prabhupada says here, consciousness is cannot be killed. Consciousness cannot be killed, for the symptom of the living entity is consciousness. Part of that consciousness means we're active, we're dynamic, we're never going to be static. And because we're active and dynamic by nature, we need to engage that propensity, that dynamism, that energy, we need to engage it in something positive. Prabhupada gives the example of children. if you leave the children alone, right, well, I mentioned this the other day, somebody was saying, since Rick was telling me, somebody was saying on Facebook, silence is golden, right? Except if children are involved, right? If the kids are silent, that means they've destroyed something. They've made a mess somewhere. And they're thinking, how can we get out of this mess? The children have an enthusiasm and an energy for living that needs to be positively engaged, otherwise they make a mess of things, generally. Right? Generally. So that's why we send them to school, we discipline them, we control them positively, to engage that energy, that enthusiasm for life and for living, we engage it in a positive way. So we can't suppress our being, if you like, our identity. You can't suppress it. Krishna says, what will repression accomplish? So we need to take that, our energies, and part of success in life is working out who you are in terms of what propensities you have, and engaging them positively. And there's always going to be problems in life, and this is part of the Varnashram principle, but if we can engage people positively in their right varna, their occupation, and in the right ashram, then they'll be happy or settled, peaceful, right? Peaceful. Despite the fact that life is full of misery, you'll be happy, right? Because you're just doing what's normal for you, for us. But it depends on this change of heart, right? Change of consciousness, from wanting to be the enjoyer to being the enjoyed, if you like, doing it for Krishna's pleasure. This is bhakti. Doing it for the devotee's pleasure, doing it for the spiritual master's pleasure, doing it for Krishna's pleasure. Then when we act in that way, if we're fortunate enough to somehow or another stumble into that kind of consciousness, then we'll be benefited by appropriate engagement, proper action, material consciousness converted into Krishna consciousness. Why we chant Hare Krishna. Oh Lord, oh energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service. That's what we're praying for. We go to bed at night, fall asleep, fired up devotees, right? But then when we wake up in the morning, we've forgotten. We're back again to some form of material consciousness, if we're not careful. So therefore, that's one of the reasons why we have a sadhana practice. Rise early in the morning, clean the body, put on fresh clothes, put on tilak, come and see the deities, see Krishna, to remind us, I'm a servant of Krishna, just in case we've forgotten, which does happen. And then chant, spend 2 hours or a good part thereof chanting Hare Krishna to reawaken the proper consciousness, to reawaken our identity, so that we understand that we're Krishna Das or Dasi. That our consciousness is, which can't be stopped, consciousness can't be repressed. We'll be forced to act. We want to enjoy. That's natural to us. But the real, or the proper engagement of that propensity to act, the proper engagement of the consciousness is that consciousness is converted from material consciousness, which is kartaham iti manyate, thinking that I'm the doer, to understanding that ultimately Krishna is the doer. I'm his servant. And that by serving, by following this sadhana practice, that's the whole idea or the whole purpose of performing our sadhana, is to reawaken our spiritual identity. And that natural identity is to be a servant. To be a servant of the devotees, to be a servant of Krishna, to be a servant of everyone, basically. That's Krishna consciousness. Whereas material consciousness is focused on enjoying the mind and the senses, and enjoying basically our karma. Well, we'll always have to suffer our fate, if you like, whether we're Krishna conscious or not. But the benefit of Krishna consciousness is that removes the reactions of our past, minimises it. Prabhupada gives the example of, or Rupa Goswami gives the example of the fan. If the fan is turned on and you pull out the plug, then gradually it winds down, right, and slows down until it stops. And that's what devotional service does. If we maintain a consistent effort in performing our devotional practice, devotional service, then gradually the results or the reactions of our karma will wind down. So that when we leave this body, at the moment this body is the prarabdha karma, which means it's the immediate reactions for all of the inappropriate behaviours that we've performed in material existence. And so you can't immediately get rid of the fact that you'll have to suffer old age, you have to suffer disease, you will have to suffer ultimately death. Right? Can't avoid that. But when one engages one's activities in devotional practice, sadhana bhakti, or if we make enough advancement to raganuga bhakti, spontaneous devotional service, then gradually the reactions of our past karmas will be dissolved and our actions will become purely spiritual. And when our activities are purely engaged in Krishna's service, then we have not a material body but a spiritual body. Or we'll reawaken the understanding or the awareness of our spiritual identity. That's the whole practice of devotional service. Okay? And that's our original state, can be achieved even in this body, even in this lifetime, by the practice of devotional service. And it will be manifest in our Krishna consciousness and acceptance of the difficulties of life, but then also taking up the positive opportunities that exist in the human form, which means let me engage my mind and my senses, my intelligence, let me engage all of these things in Krishna's service. And then automatically I'll get the reactions of my past karmas, but I'll also be in a state of proper understanding of one's original identity, and one can actually factually enjoy in that state of consciousness. Doesn't mean necessarily that we're materially well endowed, but rather the natural state of the living entity is satchit ananda. We are happy by design, just in the material world, and it's designed to make us unhappy. We need to be in the spiritual world, and that can be achieved by gradually changing our consciousness, or immediately changing our consciousness, so that we can be properly situated in our actual identity of being a servant of Krishna and transcendental to birth, death, old age and disease. These are just a variety of changes that take place because of the fact that we've accepted a material body. So while we've got the human form of life, this gives us an opportunity to change, to remove the karmas that have forced us into this, accepting this birth, and by the process of devotional service we can purify our consciousness, purify us of the reactions of our past misdeeds, and be reinstated in our original spiritual position. Does anybody have any comments or questions?
Yesterday I had this question that how by serving Krishna we are happy.
Be happy.
How we become happy. And we know that we have this sense gratification and we getting this enjoyment or maintaining mentality. And then we are serving Krishna, we are engaging in the service of Krishna. So how that is different from that kind of enjoying which we receive from material thing, because it's just some chemicals happening, kind of.
Some chemicals.
Like kind of, that
The same chemicals.
In material. But how that is different, and
How did we become happy? Well, it's not that we become happy, we already are happy in our original condition. Original state is ananda. Right? But because we identify with the body, and our body is really a bit of a miserable place, right? We become unhappy. We're not actually unhappy, but our original, we've lost that connection with our original self. So, how do we become happy? What's our process for becoming happy? Huh? What's the best way to become happy? Huh? Yeah, Sankirtan. Sankirtan. If you want to be a steady devotee, then it's always a good idea to have some kirtan, Sankirtan in your life. Right? And what happens when you chant Hare Krishna in the Sankirtan? What happens? You become happy. You dance. Right? And you feel ecstasy. Prema Bhakti from chanting Hare Krishna. Prema Bhakti from hearing the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, associating with the devotees, worshipping the deity. Prabhupada's given us these activities because they naturally uncover our spiritual identity. And when the spiritual identity is uncovered, have a guess what the symptoms are? Smiling, right? Dancing. You forget all about all the what do you call it? In a polite way. All problems. Right? Just dissolves. When you're in a kirtan, when you're in Mangalartik, right? And you're absorbed in chanting Hare Krishna, where does the material world go? Just disappears, right? Sometimes in a Mangalartik kirtan, you listen to the sound of the Hare Krishna mantra, and it sounds like it's going all throughout the whole universe. Huh? You ever experienced that? Just goes throughout, and it's like everybody's chanting Hare Krishna. And there's no problems, no anxiety, nothing, and you think, wow, this is the best thing. Huh? And all you're doing is chanting Hare Krishna. Simple thing. Looks like a simple thing, oh, they're just chanting Hare Krishna. But the depth of feeling that the devotees relish when they're chanting Hare Krishna, it's indescribable. Right? Anandam buddhi vardhanam prati padam purna amritas vardhanam. Right? Amrita. Chanting Hare Krishna makes us feel great. experienced that? Yeah. So if you don't have any kirtan in your life, you're going to be miserable. Right? Besides having a good sleep. Right? What do you think, Tarawali? They woke you up too early this morning, huh? On a holiday. It's a holiday. They woke us up so early. So, Sankirtan, the nectar for which we're always anxious. Right? We want to be happy. Who doesn't want to be happy? Right? And you can be happy just by chanting Hare Krishna. You don't need money. Right? You don't need fame or influence. Or any of, the things that generally people are struggling, striving, working so hard for. All you need to do is get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, have a shower, put on some clean clothes and tilak, and then come and chant Hare Krishna for a couple of hours. Then how do you feel? A bit tired maybe, but happy. And so then when you greet the deities and you do Guru Puja, then you feel more happy. Huh? So, what else? What else is there? Don't need anything else. But if you don't do that, you'll be miserable. Right? That's my experience. Probably yours as well. So how do we become happy? Chant Hare Krishna. That's our formula. For any problem, chant Hare Krishna. Ooh, I heard that before. You say that all the time, chant Hare Krishna. But if we don't chant Hare Krishna properly, then we are going to be miserable. Right? We have such a sublime process. And it's chanting Hare Krishna. Right? That's our process. And there's the personal meditation, which is japa, 16 rounds, and Sankirtan, which we have, when we have the Mongol Arctic, we have Guru Puja, we celebrate and I was going to say consummate. I think that's not inappropriate. Our Krishna consciousness in Sankirtan. That's why, it's kind of funny when people say, we've got to chant Hare Krishna. It's kind of like there's a revival. We've got to do Sankirtan. But really, if you're a member of ISKCON and you're following the morning program, you're already doing it. It's not something that you have to. It's what you do. It's what we do all of the time. We never stopped. Right? We never stopped. If you got up and went to the morning program every day, and you went to the evening arti every day, you never stopped chanting Hare Krishna. And when you do chant Hare Krishna, japa and kirtan, so what have we got? We've got Mongol Arti, Guru Puja, Sayan, Sanja Arti, right? So you've got 3 kirtans in a day. You're going to be in ecstasy, pretty much. If you've chanted 16 rounds and gone for 3 kirtans, you'll be happy. Right? So that's how we do it. But because we don't do it, we forget sometimes. Then life becomes like a burden. Somebody asks you to do some service and it was too hard. Huh? But you can be guaranteed if we go for the morning program and the evening program, we chant our rounds, even the most difficult thing will be relatively easy to do. Right? What's that? There's that verse. I've forgotten it. Chaitanya Charita. If one remembers Lord Chaitanya, then even the most difficult thing becomes easy. But if you forget Lord Chaitanya, tying up your shoelaces becomes impossible. Little things are impossible. Oh no, oh, it's too hard. So we need to change the consciousness. That's why we change. But it's really simple. You know, when you think about it, such a simple process of self-realization. Is that right?
Prabhu, just to add to that, what you said, Devamrita Swami said, the material happiness, you get happiness buying a phone, but that stops after using a phone. So you keep going next and next and next. It never ends.
Yeah.
Whereas the spiritual happiness is, fixed.
Yeah. Yeah, don't you try and get happiness out of your phone.
Yeah.
Despite what Apple tells you, and Samsung and whatever, and I know I've had plenty of phones, personal experience, but yeah, we're being cheated. We're being cheated. Better switch your phone off. Switch your phone. Okay, we need to use the phone, but let's keep it in perspective. Okay, there's yeah. Yeah, chanting Hare Krishna, not that hard. Or shall we say it's simple, but we're suffering from the disease of avidya, of ignorance. That's what Swami tells us. And so therefore the chanting of Hare Krishna is apparently difficult. Apparently. Because of that disease. Of course, the example is of jaundice. If you've got jaundice, then sweet things taste bitter. But the sweet things, the sugar candy is the cure. So in the beginning, there may be some struggle, some difficulty because of our disease. But as we take the medicine, more and more the disease will be cured. So we could cure the disease of avidya, Rupa Goswami advises us, by chanting Hare Krishna. We destroy the disease at its root, the root being the tongue. So in the beginning, chanting may appear to be difficult, sometimes. But as we become more adept and experienced and purified also, then gradually that taste of the pure holy name will arise naturally. It comes about naturally. Because it's not that we're creating it. Prabhupada makes this point. We're not creating happiness. We're already happy. Because that's who we are. That's our natural position. We're just peeling or removing the coverings of ignorance. We're not creating something, it's already there. Huh? It's already there. That's who we are. So we don't become happy, we already are happy, we just get rid of the ignorance. When we get rid of the ignorance more and more, then the natural happiness that we already possess, it is us, is manifest. So Prabhupada says it's not an imposition. The chanting of Hare Krishna is not an imposition. But under the influence of avidya or ignorance, we see it because we're identifying with the body. that right? Yeah. That's how we become happy. We chant Hare Krishna. And then how do you feel? How do you feel when you chant Hare Krishna? Huh? Better. That's right, much better.
You feel good.
Yeah, you feel good. Yeah, you feel good. When you don't chant Hare Krishna, feel bad. I remember when I first went to the temple in Adelaide, and I was hearing lots of classes about how the karmis were all hogs, dogs, camels and asses. And I remember going to the supermarket after the morning program one day, and I was feeling really great, really good. And then I was looking at the people, and I was like, "Ooh, he looks like a dog." He looks like an ass. So it changes your consciousness. Changes your consciousness. You start to see the whole world in a completely different light. All of the devotees look like Prabhupada says, in ignorance. So we don't want to be like that. And we know, taking advantage of the mercy of the devotees, we know that even though we're not qualified, we get an opportunity to enter into that spiritual. We can leave the world of the animals, and we can enter into the world of Vaikuntha. Actually, everybody's a Vaikuntha resident. They've just forgotten it. We have to remind ourselves, be then fixed on that, and then get the others out as well. And when you chant Hare Krishna and you do it, and by Krishna's mercy and the devotee's mercy, we're able to connect again to our spiritual identity, then you walk down the street and you're just smiling. Right? You're just happy. People see you and they smile too. Ooh. So sometimes we're in ecstasy but we forget it. We need to be reminded. Okay, let's, yes.
Just following from Prabhu's question.
Yeah.
The person who just started under the Krishna consciousness and he can't perceive this reciprocation by chanting, and he wants to sort out his penance, he wants his penance to fix his problems. How would you make that person understand that chanting?
Get them to chant. Just get them to chant. And it doesn't matter, you could be a first timer or an old timer, but the Sankirtan is one of the 5 angas of prema bhakti, and so it has the potency to connect the person immediately to the experience of prema. Right? So there's no old or new. Anybody who chants Hare Krishna in the Kirtan party can be connected instantly to that prema feeling. And you see it. People come and then they're dancing with the devotees and they're in ecstasy. They don't even know why. Right? But they're just happy. That's the symptom of prema. Right? And so you don't need to... Now when somebody feels that, you don't need to convince them. Right? When you're happy, I don't have to convince you, you're happy now. No, because you're smiling. You're dancing. You've got your hands up in the air. The material world just shrunk, all of the burdens and all of the struggles and all the difficulties of life just shrunk. The ocean of material existence shrinks into the amount of water in the footprint of a calf. That's the Bhagavatam, right? So we all have experienced it. When we first came to Krishna consciousness, we started chanting Hare Krishna, then all of a sudden all of our problems just went. We thought, wow, this is pretty good. Right? That's why we keep coming back for more. Right? Because we're not giving people anything material. Right? In fact, in one sense, to become a devotee of Krishna means a lot of inconvenience, actually. Get up early in the morning. Huh? Who wants to get up early in the morning? 4 o'clock. Oh, I want to go back to bed. So, but when somebody connects, that's why sometimes, just preaching to people is useless, right? Because their head's so full of ignorance, it's not even cutting through, right? They still think in their habitual ways, but when they taste prasadam or when they chant Hare Krishna, they in the kirtan, they're instantly uplifted. Prabhupada says it's you don't taste the honey by licking the outside of the jar. Right? You've got to put your finger in and taste it. So when people taste Krishna consciousness, kirtan especially, this is why we're the Sankirtan movement. Right? And why Lord Chaitanya is so magnanimous, because just by distributing the holy name, people can experience prema straight away. That's Krishna's mercy in the form of the Sankirtan movement. Why Sankirtan is so important? Because just by that simple activity, one can be elevated straight into Vaikuntha, straight into Goloka, right? There's our philosophy. And we feel it. What is it? Shriya Kanta, I can't remember that. But every word is a song, every step is a dance in the spiritual world. So when we chant Hare Krishna and become absorbed in the kirtan, even if we don't chant 16 rounds or we never chanted before, we still get an opportunity to experience that prema. That is Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Right? And you don't need to be convinced about it. You might be bewildered by it. Ooh, what happened? Right? And then you realise, I have to surrender my life to Krishna. Right? That's the realisation that you get. But you don't have to convince people when they get it, when they connect like that, you don't have to convince them at all. Right? They'll just feel it. That's why we keep coming back for more. Right? Because it's enjoyable. Anything else?
In material world, when you see a master and a servant cannot develop. It's very rare to find a relationship where it's a love with the master. So how do we understand that Krishna is master at the same time we develop love for that? The love is there. If you
Yeah, especially when some of the things that Krishna arranges for us are pretty distasteful. Right? This is a big challenge. How can we appreciate that Krishna actually loves us when I'm suffering so much? Right? But that's because we're such rascals. We think we're much, much better than we are. And we think, I don't deserve any of this. I didn't do anything. Not my fault. We want to blame Krishna for all the things that went wrong. So, one of the symptoms, we were discussing this the other day, one of the symptoms of learning is humility. Right? And coming to the realization of our fallen condition is part of the process of devotional service. Right? So that, and it might, I was discussing this with Rupert, it might take us a decade to work out that what Krishna did to us at one point was actually for our benefit. But at the time we thought, what are you picking on me for? I didn't do anything. I don't deserve this. But later on down the track we realised, I deserve worse. So, humility is, if we're becoming learned, self-realised, then one of the qualities of a big devotee is that he thinks he's a little devotee. Right? That's what a big devotee is. A big devotee is one who's humble. And we need to, that needs to be cultivated. And then, when we are able to see that all of the arrangements that Krishna is making for us are for our benefit, then we can start to develop a bit of a loving relationship. But in the meantime, it doesn't keep doing service, because, you know, if you want to please somebody, then do something for them. So if we keep trying to do something for Krishna, then he'll reciprocate. Even though the reciprocate, it may be a little bitter, sweet, from time to time. Huh? More could be said, but it's 9 o'clock, and we should move on to the next part of our sadhana program. Although it's a public holiday today, isn't it? We can sit around and do nothing all day. No crossways? No? Woo! Read Prabhupada's books, Hare Krishna. Okay, go to our Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, ki jai, Gaura Bhaktivedanta.